Round the fire, warm and bright, stocked up food for the night. Got our plans set in gold for the days when it's cold. Tools and gear stacked up high in the cabin we reside, listening to the winds howl, prepping for the morning's prowl. At the purpose fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night.
Oh, that was a lovely, gentle intro, wasn't
Mate.
it? I'm doing the opposite of fear-mongering with the dramatic introduction music. So there we go. I think it's a bit more chilled, a bit more us. How you doing, Brian?
Yeah, good, mate. I was just wondering how you got your voice so high for the track.
Oh, well, just got to squeeze and you're on. We've got Chris82 and Stuart Lonnan in the comments already. We've got 16 people watching, people starting to come in now. This is kind of unscheduled, guys. It is a prepper fireside episode, but it was like scheduled when I sent the group a message at like lunchtime today. So no prep, just all winging it. So
Isn't it always?
It's the best way to go, isn't it? Right? If it's scripted, they can tell. Hello, Brian. How are you? What is? Voting day tomorrow. Or have you thrown your postal vote down the drain?
Postal vote, standing there vote, mate. It's all thrown down the drain. I think, to be honest, it's you'd be better off doing this at the moment and just seeing what way the wind blows.
I mean, this postal vote thing, so they've lost X amount of... Have you heard any numbers?
Thousands.
So
Thousands.
No matter what happens with this election, a losing party is going to blame that, right?
It'll be Donald Trump all over again.
Scandal, new election. So we expect no matter what the result is, we'll have another election in 3 months' time.
It's already started, though. They've already said that Russia's meddling with it. Postal votes have went missing. Yeah, it's bad, but see, unless it's like tens and tens of thousands, unless it's like a very, very narrow margin between the winning party and the losing party, it really doesn't matter, monkeys.
Yeah. Evening, striving for self-sufficiency. You should be in a box. Tut, tut, tut. Mr. Atom Blue says, evening, Mike, Brian, all. And Mark says, evening, gents. So the postal vote, from what I hear, a lot of Labour voters vote the postal vote. So maybe it's going to have a detrimental effect on them. But according to the mainstream media, it's a done deal already, though, right?
Nothing's done till it's over the line. I think they're probably right. I don't think Richie Sunak is the poster boy for the Conservatives. He wasn't a step up from Liz Truss. He's got no personality. Boris...
Not a step up from Liz Truss. I didn't know that could be anyone.
Wasn't much of a step up, that's for sure. See, the thing is with Boris, he was like excuse the language, but he was like the Labrador that you've always had that pissed the floor. It makes you angry, but you can't be angry at it for very long because it's such a lovable big rogue.
Just want to get his hair and go like that. Ooh.
He's the original Prime Minister that pisses the carpet, but you can't be angry at.
Yeah, I can be angry at him, throwing parties when we can't even bury our frigging relatives.
They all did it too. That's the best of it. SNP, Labour, all their MPs were involved in scandal during COVID.
Yeah. What do you think of the media coverage, right? I mean, we don't have to go into who me and you are going to vote for. If anybody wants to put in who they're going to vote for in the chat, we're happy to discuss it with you. But the media coverage, it's hard to avoid that they have been reform negative.
I think that's been generous to the media. They've been putting the boot in something fearsome. Between staging Channel 4, staging a reporter. Two things. It doesn't help that Reform have already got the type of blokes that clap when the plane lands. Sorry, I just read that. Sorry. So Reform are already up against it because Farage gets badged as right-wing fascist straight away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got the frighteners up the Conservatives already because he's been stealing party members and votes. So it's not just Labour that have put the boot into the Conservatives this time round, it's Reform. Because, like it or not, people are hacked off and looking for something different. So this has put the fear of God into the other parties, and you've got the media turning on them and, everybody else.
Do you think it was a good idea for them to appoint Farage? And I get he's got this bit of a celebrity popularity, and plus he was in the jungle and all this lot. And he beasted the eating challenge, if I remember rightly. It was a while ago now. But because he's got that stigma about him, I mean, I was looking at Reform and their policies before they appointed Farage, and it looked to make sense. Do you think appointing Farage has done them damage?
Publicity is publicity, right? Good and bad. So if you put somebody on who was a relative unknown, you might not get the traction. You might not get the headlines. You put him in, you're guaranteed to get the traction, the headlines, and all the good and bad that goes with it. I watched him on Question Time. I think it was Thursday, and he came across, and I'm not waving a trumpet for him or anything, or a flag, but he actually came across all right. But again, the audience was slanted against him, big time slanted against him, including the presenter. But a lot of the things he said made sense, and it's like Trump as well, though, Mike. Trump's a nutter, but in amongst all the shit, there's a little nugget of gold,
Trump's the only choice for the Americans, as far as I can see, because even a Biden supporter, if you're actually a Biden supporter, you shouldn't vote him in for sympathy. Jesus, he's not capable. He's in a bad way. Anyway,
I mean, it's a shame when you watch the debate. It was like somebody's granda who'd got lost in the street and he didn't know how to get home, and you felt bad for him. It was embarrassing and pitiable.
Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? Because obviously everything was centered around the American stuff with Trump and Biden, then all of a sudden snap election over here. So it's just like, oh, quick, flip around. You talked about that reporter in that Question Time. It's quoted of her saying, "And I won't interrupt you," and then proceeded to interrupt practically everything he said. So yeah, the bias is unreal. I'm not bothered about the bias, right? You're gonna get it, right? So every like when the Sun declared for a certain politician, or when the Daily Mail did and stuff, you're always going to get them biases in media. We accept that. But what annoys me is neither Sunak or Starmer have had the bottle to go on stage with him.
Their argument is that he's not a key player, and they don't like his policies and everything else, so he's not worthy of their attention. They'll not give him the airtime. I don't agree with that. I think a lot of it's fear.
Yeah.
They've got nothing to gain, but everything to lose.
The thing is, they can only say he's not a key player till tomorrow. If all that flips around, we don't know. So Telda Boy is in. Hi, Telda Boy. Lilith is in. Hi, how you doing? Elusive Dartmoor, how you doing? Mr. Atom Blue is in. Says voting for Big Nige. George Galloway made a prediction the other day. Said if Keir Starmer becomes Prime Minister, Britain will be at war within 6 months with troops deployed, and then it's game on. Wow, interesting.
Well, George Galloway, everybody's got an opinion. I can't stand him. Thanks very much, Elusive. So I actually work for a living. Sometimes I've got to go to work and not look like a vagrant. So, George Galloway, I can't stand.
I'm not sure about his clairvoyant skills either.
Does Keir Starmer strike you as somebody who is going to put Britain on a combat footing anytime soon and deploy troops? I can't see it.
If he's told to by the people pulling his strings, I can't not see it, because you know, at the end of the day, we know the one reason we go to war. It's not to protect civil liberties. It's not to protect our islands. It's nothing like that. It's money. Exactly. It's money.
Absolutely.
And whether you like it or not, there's a lot of money in that earth under Ukraine. So, you know, people are bidding for it. So bidding for it. That's a good, that was unintentional completely there.
Without being a conspiracy theorist, I'll just read this.
Nigel has definitely been good for reform. I started liking reform after watching Richard Tice on Talk TV. Yeah, I thought Richard Tice was really good, to be fair. He's well spoken. You were saying, sorry, I interrupted you with that comment.
No, it was just me spouting random nonsense there. Without being a conspiracy theorist, there's money in war. Then there's always going to be money in war. It's the biggest technological driver. Well, for the century and a half of constant warfare, nobody wants, well, I'll tell you, that's not true. It's not that nobody wants peace. It's bad for business. Peace doesn't make money.
Yeah, and also, it's if you want to go down, I'll get my tinfoil hat if we need it, but if you want to go down that route, it's a way of population control as well.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, who do you vote for, Mike? That's a key question.
Let's have a look, shall we? Let's have a look, shall we?
Stick it on the map.
The powers of technology. So I don't rate any of these sites, just so you know. There will be better sites coming soon, but YouGov, I don't rate many of them. But the thing is these polls, how much can you trust them, right? Because they'll survey 20,000 people. Great. They'll survey 5,000 people. They'll survey 40,000 people. Now, one of the surveys I saw on TV, I can't remember what the program was, but they said after they've interviewed all these people on the street, they said afterwards, loads of people said they were going to vote reform, but didn't want to on camera.
See that? Do you not think that's a problem as well? The way society has gone, people are fearful of having an opinion because it does not follow the perceived right opinion. And if you have an opinion that in good conscience you believe without meaning to offend anybody, I mean, you get labelled all sorts of vicious, nasty words flung at you because you dare to have an opinion that doesn't follow the narrative. And it's literally like, sorry, on you go, mate.
No, I'm just saying, well, it's because they label you right wing. If you are that far, I mean, last election, Conservative were the right wing party, right? Because they're that far left of right of centre, and these are that far left of centre. Nobody's a BNP or something like that. You know, it's just ridiculous that they put that branding on.
Can we not just find a party or group of politicians that aren't self-serving, that will deal in common sense, right? That they'll come out and say things that, whilst maybe political suicide and unpalatable, they are factually correct. And people have got to open their eyes and look like, okay, this is the reality. The country's skint. We've got no money. These are all the problems. What do you want to do about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Polls are like statistics. They can be manipulated by the questions asked. Yeah. I did see one of the early polls. Apparently, because it was done digitally, there was two screens of parties, and it was obviously Conservative, Labour, Lib Dem, Green, and you had to click next page to see reform. So that, believe it or not, has a psychological edge. Let's go to the screen anyway, like we were just about to. This is the final YouGov prediction, as it were. They predict plus 229 seats for Labour, taking them to 431, which is a huge majority.
Huge swing if it comes off.
Conservatives losing 263 seats, Lib Dems gaining 61, SNP losing 30, and Reform 3.
I can't see that.
What's interesting is that's what they've decided is the summary. Okay, fine. That's what you've decided in the summary. Then we'll look, how do we get to this conclusion? Oh, this is how we got to the conclusion. Reform 11, Reform 15, Reform 20. Where did you get the 3 from? So it's the percentage of votes that's annoying me. And they say it's because they might get 20-30% in each area, so it's not enough to elect the seat. But I think they're massively underselling it. Politico is another one. These have been up and down with both of them. I mean, Labour and Conservative, if you look, have pretty much ran the same. Everything's fluctuated a little bit. Here is the influx where Reform's going up and Lib Dems are going up, and both Labour and Conservative are going down. So it's not just stealing seats from Conservative, like Labour would have you believe. Like Conservative would have you believe if you vote for anyone else, you're giving us Labour, and vice versa. They're taking it off everyone because it's not stealing a seat. It's giving people an option that seems logical, I think, personally.
And I agree with that. People are fed up, Mike.
And look at this predicted vote share. This is what's broken with our system. Yeah?
Yeah.
I get if you're electing so your local elections, fair enough. If there's 20,000 votes for Labour, 10,000 for Conservative, 5,000 for Reform, yes, that's fine for your local election. But there should be a separate vote for the whole government, the Prime Minister, as it were, because the majority of the shares there, look at that. But all these predictions, oh, that's us. Hello. Bit of inception going on there. All these predictions are the same as what we had for Brexit, are they not?
Shite in, shite out. If you put crap in, you're going to get crap out. And I don't know who posted. One of the people on the chat had posted earlier that it can be manipulated. 100% can be manipulated. And by manipulating the poll, it might persuade people to vote tactically. As in, if this party aren't going to get a lot of votes, I might be as well as not bother and just vote for them because they'll have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
And without being a poster boy for reform, because it sounds like that's what I'm being, and I don't mean to. At the end of the day, everybody should vote for who they think is going to do what they want.
Everyone should vote. And I don't care if you say I don't vote. You should go there and spoil a ballot. You should make the effort to vote, even if it's none of the above. Yeah, people fought and died for it, and we need to get people out in numbers, and it needs to be a normal thing because people just can't be bothered.
I'll tell you what I tell the guys at the work. For my sins, I'm also the union rep for our place, and I'll tell them the same thing that I'll say on here. Vote or don't vote. That's fine. I'm good with either. But if you don't vote, don't worry about it later. I don't want to know. I literally don't want to hear it because the old saying people come out with people fought and died for the vote. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But even more simplistic than that, I don't want to hear any moaning and crying after it. If you couldn't be arsed to walk to a polling station or put a letter in.
Well, what do you think of the mentality as well? Because I've had this discussion with people. There's two of my friends who, like me, last election, you can all blame and throw eggs at me all you want. I voted Conservative. So did they. So did they. Both of them did. And I was speaking to them about this, and they were like, oh, yeah, I like this. And one of them liked something from the Lib Dems, and one of them liked something from Reform. But both of them said, yeah, but it's a wasted vote, so I'm just going to vote Conservative. I'm like, yeah, but if 30 billion people think the same thing, it's not a wasted vote if you all do it.
The only wasted vote is the vote you never take, right?
Yeah.
If you fundamentally believe something is right, then you should act on it. Whether you think it's not going to have any traction or you'll be the only dissenting voice in the room, then have the courage of your convictions. At some point, people might follow your example and decide that, Mike's talking about a sense. I'm actually going to do that, or not vote tactically.
Mike's talking shit, more like.
But I mean, when Labour and Conservatives were inceptional parties when they were first formed, at some point they had no votes. At some point your channel had no subscribers, and mine's as well. You've always got to have a starting point. And until people actually click, like, and subscribe, please click like and subscribe and stuff. Plug. Then nothing will ever grow or change.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's right. And like you can see that with everything, not just politics, you know. The giant British prepper YouTubers have a lot more subscribers. Only you can change that. We
think?
You what?
What does the chat think? I can't follow it in the moment. So, I mean, if folk have got a genuine opinion,
So, lady, we'll go through a few. Mohammed is in. Sorry, he says hello. Hope everyone's well.
Hello, mate.
Tell the boy did agree that war produces money, but lives get lost. Yeah, which is unfortunately we care about that, but often the powers that be don't. Lady J says hi again. Spot on about having a different opinion. Johnny Evans says polls are like statistics. We did pop that one up during the chat. Brooke Christian, it'll be fixed so reform doesn't get in. Despite the vast number of people saying they're voting reform, Starmageddon is on the rise. And Starmageddon. I'm going to have to make a Starmageddon banner.
I like that one.
Mark says, if Starmer gets in, decides to poke the Russian bear with NATO and brings in a draft, can you imagine the protests? It'll make the Palestine marches look like a tea party. Total chaos. Johnny Evans says, shy leave with Brexit referendum. This time round, it'll be shy reform. There you go. We missed a poll before we go into some more of the comments. Let me just mark where I'm up to so I don't lose it, because I can do that now on the new software. We missed a poll. The poll I put up. And I put a poll up for 189 people took part. 3% Conservative, 10% Labour, 55% Reform, 1% Lib Dem, 31% none of the above. And you think, wow, that's interesting. What's more interesting is that 31%, because this was a month ago. This was over 4 weeks ago that I put this up. So what I'm saying is these polls, a lot of people that will vote Reform, a lot of people that will vote Green Party, a lot of people that will vote the smaller parties don't want to take part in them. Would you like to do a poll? No. Even the exit polls you can't fully trust. We'll get the reason I'm going live with the show tomorrow, live show tomorrow from 10:30. I will go until I'm unconscious snoring on this mic, early hours in the morning. But we're going at 10:30 because from then is usually when you start to get an exit poll. Now, again, exit polls are not 100% accurate. They're just asking the question when people leave. Some people don't answer. But yeah, it's interesting because just from that small community of 189 people, 55% of them are saying Reform. So where are they doing these polls? That's what I'm interested to know.
It could be that the demographic that we're aligned with, that, let's be honest, most of the people that will be on tonight think alike in a lot of ways, or we wouldn't even be here. So could it be that preppers in general are a bit more pissed off and ready for a change because it's a snapshot of the population?
From what I speak to people, it's nothing to do with preppers. Everyone's pissed off, but nobody can think that they can get change. And you know what the problem is? The problem is it's been a two-horse race for so long that people think the only way they're going to get change is to vote red. Yeah, red or blue. That's your options. That's the only options in some people's minds because they think it's a two-horse race. It's a two-party system. It's not, and only the people power can change that. Mohammed Al-Mustafa says, I voted for George Galloway's party, but I think where I live, Labour is going to retain its seat due to people splitting the vote between the Workers' Party and Independent. What do you think of independence? I mean, when we talk about people saying it's a wasted vote, is an independent a wasted vote? Or if they've got some good policy, is it good to have that voice in there?
I think you've got to vote with head and heart. And I mean, independence, asking somebody from Scotland having an opinion on independence is you'll never get the same opinion. that was a toxic situation for a start. That's a separate issue. That was toxic.
Yeah. We want freedom, but not from Europe. Anyway,
It was bollocks. We've got one island that we've all successfully got on with for hundreds of years. I'm not in any great rush to tear that up.
No.
And I work all over the UK as a rule. And when all that stuff was going on, I'm going down to England and you're talking to people and, well, you guys want independence. I don't want independence. And I'll tell you a better one. Most of the people that you talk to, this is where my subscribers just go down the toilet, that actually work, right? That have a job and go to work. A lot of them, if not most of them, didn't want independence, right? But you would get a lot of people banging shortbread tins and waving Braveheart flags saying, I want to be better off. How can you be better off? You don't even freaking well work. How does that work?
You want to be better off? Get a job.
It was divisive, mate, and toxic, and I hated it. And as far as the independence thing goes, that party in particular.
This is the thing. So the other thing we get, I mean, it's probably because like SNP in the political world of the UK is a relatively new thing. Having that Scottish Parliament is a relatively new thing if you look at the grand scheme of things. In this country, it seems to be a hereditary thing, voting. Now, a lot of my family fell out with me because they are Labour voters, and they do not look at the policies. They do not look at they do not look at what they're offering. They do not look at how they're going to pay for what they're allegedly offering, whichever party it is. They vote because their dad did, and the granddad did, and the great-granddad did, and the great-granddad did. Yeah? And this is the Tory party. It's all about the upper class. This is the Labour Party. It's all about the working class. And they just got this mindset that is stuck in the past. Vote for policies is a great thing. You go on there, you click the policies, you click the best answer. At the end of it, it tells you who you should be voting for. And a lot of people will do that and think, oh, shit, I've been voting for the wrong people.
It's funny. I mean, I was always brought up in a small mining village. And traditionally it was always, and it probably still is, predominantly Labour and SNP. I would think maybe the token Conservative voter for the last couple of votes. Yeah. But I voted for the party that I thought would bring in some of what they said they were going to do, even if it's only a fraction of it, of the things that I personally would like to see. And that's why I voted. I voted for a party based on what they said they were going to do. Not what they did 100 years ago or when they were formed or whatever. The same as Labour and the miners' strikes and all the rest of it, and the party for the people. Well, no, they're not really. They're party for themselves. So they get in power, then they might do some of what they promised. Maybe a good day.
30 years ago, I'd have been a Labour voter.
Yeah, 100%. So that.
And people just need to realise that things like that change. And I think that's why the Conservatives have lost so many seats, because they sold themselves for the working man at the last election. And now there's a better offer on the table for the working man. So,
have you heard the one about, there's a lot of bad press going about COVID as well. So the Conservative Party got slaughtered for their performance during COVID. And I'm not sticking up for them. Well, kind of am a little bit, I suppose, but I don't think Labour would have done any better, because they stood up on the same podiums and said the same shit that they would do, and for the most part didn't really criticise it at the time or offer a better suggestion.
The problem is people are dumb. A person is smart. All you people in the chat, you're all smart as individuals, but as a mass horde of people, they think we are big dumb animals. And they didn't know what they were doing. And rather than stand there with their hands up going, we don't know what we're doing here, guys. We think you should have to do this, but that's on you. You're an adult. It's on your risk. It's up to you if you want to do these things. Instead of doing that, they're like, oh no, stay inside. Go out, clap like a seal. Stay back inside. What's that? Your nan's passed. You can't bury her. You can watch a coffin on a video camera for half an hour. Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, really appreciate that. What are you doing while this is going on? Oh, there's a party at number 10. Excellent. Boogie down. It was conspiracy. It was an exercise in control. Non-conspiracy. They just didn't know what they were doing. And they wouldn't want to admit that. Huh?
I'll agree with that. They hadn't a clue. And I was talking to my brother about this. We were on about the 2004 Resiliency Act that they brought in, and I've read it. I've read it more than once. And he was saying, they've got these things in place and things they're going to do. But no, they've got paper in place. They've got no people and they've got no product, right? They've got a shell of a plan, but they don't have any actual game plan in terms of skin in the game and bodies and supplies. And I can prove that with their performance during the pandemic. So they've got policies, but very poor on plans and implementation. So I don't think Labour would have done any better, to be fair, mate. And all their own.
This is why we need to shake it up, because of the two-party system. No matter who's in power, if something happens, if we go to war in the next 5 years, whoever's in power, their fault. If we have an epidemic, whoever's in power, their fault, blamed, you're out. Yeah? Whatever happens in this country, it's the government's fault who's in power, and so we try the other one. Now we go back to the other one. Now we go back to the other one, and it starts swapping. I would rather have 3 parties that get 33% of the vote, 4 parties that get 25% of the vote, and actually have a scrap where one of them could win. I don't mean a physical one, but, it comes down to the wire, not this, yes, we all know it's going to be a landslide because they've cocked up.
Sure.
The problem as well with the Conservative Party is, what are we on? The 4th unelected Prime Minister?
Mm-hmm.
No one voted Sunak in.
They're now talking about bringing back Boris.
Oh, well, at least he admit to having Sky TV. Ready Prepper One says, pending economic collapse, if all else fails, go to war, then war economy. Yes, war economy is also very good for controlling of the population. Tell the boy I've supported my legs because my legs support me. There we go. Excellent. Lilith says, NATO have said today the Ukraine are not welcome in NATO. Well, after promising them so much, that's ridiculous if that's true. I've not seen this one.
There's more at the back of that, though. So what they said was they're not welcome in NATO at the moment. There's 2 parts to that. One, because there's an ongoing war with the Russian Federation. So they're never getting in NATO at the moment. But what they basically said was, because of the widespread corruption that's still endemic in Ukraine, they don't want them in at the moment. Until they get their house in order, they don't want them in.
Yeah.
Have they looked at Hungary? Have they looked at Hungary, what they're doing? They've vetoed and bollocksed every military and economic sanction that's been put in place. How can they say that with a straight face?
Yeah, I'm afraid it's corrupt. The whole thing's corrupt. In NATO was a wonderful idea, but as soon as something happens, you've got half the nations going, whoa, now this is real. I'm going to leave. They're talking about US leaving, right?
On a site. Sorry, on you go, Mike. Sorry.
I'm saying they're on about the US leaving, right? That's a huge hit.
The US posture to leave was under Trump, and that was because he was pissed off with Western Europe not paying their fair part. I've got to agree with that. I think he's right. Why should American troops and taxpayers foot the bill for a war that's largely going to be fought and decided on Europe? I can't disagree with any of that. I think it's a fair point.
I get it, but the whole idea of it was to keep the peace, right? You've got the entire most of the Western world aligned, so nobody does something stupid. But obviously, clearly, we're just the bluff has finally been called after all these years, right?
That's that fear has kept a large-scale nuclear confrontation at bay. Fear of everybody else dying, the old mutually shared destruction thing. But it's just bonkers, mate. The whole situation's bonkers with Ukraine.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. I'm not sure how much that plays into the election, though, because yet again, it's something the parties are not discussing. It's not on any of the policies.
Well, the only thing that I did agree, Keir Starmer's already said he won't come out and match the Conservatives' 2.5% of GDP for the military. I think he went 2.2 or 2.3.
With no timeline.
Yes. We've got a shooting war in Western Europe now. We've got depleted munition stores now. We've got no factories churning out bombs and bullets and planes now. We don't have 10 years. We don't have 15 years. We should be building shit right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing Farage has done that I don't like and I don't agree with so far is when he said that he wouldn't support Ukraine. And I think that's cost him votes, personally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but in a way, that's one of his best qualities. He's probably too honest for his own good sometimes. He is the guy you speak to in the pub. I mean, if you saw the clips of him going into the pub in the England games and compare that to the clips of Keir Starmer going into a pub and the guy screaming at him saying, "Get out my pub," that's two different politicians right there. There's a question specifically for you here, Brian, from Elusive Dartmoor. How do you feel about the SNP?
How do the Scottish in general feel, or how do I feel?
Give us both.
Okay. I wouldn't presume to speak for everybody, but most people who I know or my social circle didn't and don't want the SNP. Me personally, I don't want the SNP. The thing that they play on fears, like every other political party, you're getting ripped off, this, that, or the next thing. And people can't count or don't want to count or don't want to take personal responsibility. So my wife's friend at the time had said, when the whole shit was starting out, that we should do what Norway did, and we'll take all the oil revenue and we're going to put it into a growth fund. All right, okay, that's a great idea. So you're going to take this £100 and put it in the bank. Right, great. How are you going to pay for your bills, schools, police, all the rest of it? Oh, we'll use the oil revenue. Okay, right. But you can't, you've saved that. So how are you going to pay for the bills of the country? No, you don't understand. It says, no, I understand perfectly well. You don't understand. Like
you can't spend it and have it.
Exactly. You can't spend it and save it. It's like if you take a job, Mike, and you get an extra £2,000 a year, your lifestyle will go up to suit the new income that you've got. Our country's the same, right? We can't turn the clock back, and we are where we are. And where we are is we've got the Welsh Parliament, we've got the Scottish Parliament, we're paying twice for bureaucracy, we're paying twice for big, expensive buildings, we're paying for umpteen more SNPs and Welsh MSPs, or whatever they're called. Why? Why are we doing that? That's fucking, excuse me, that's fucking nuts. They've got a seat at the table in Westminster. The fact that you don't, the shit that comes out is that, well, our vote doesn't matter. No, your vote does matter. It's just that you've got less population. It boils down to simple arithmetic. If there's 16 million people in London and there's 6 in the central belt of Scotland, and they vote one way and you don't, well, I'm sorry, that's tough shit. That's what a democracy actually is. You don't just chop a country into bits till you get a part that works for you. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Everyone on my island of 10 people votes my way. We want to be independent.
But I find it ironic when you're going to hang on about we will be better off, right? We'll be better off by taking the oil, and so we're going to attach our skin onto the mast of a ship that's sailing on the back of petrochemicals, when every other country in the world is trying to get away from the petrodollar and hydrocarbons, right?
Yeah.
So why would you set your economy up for something that's already on the decline?
Yeah.
Stuff like that, it makes no sense.
And then the independence, a lot of costs are not even looked at. I mean, you're talking about money, yeah? Because obviously you guys have your own notes up there, but you're still using the pound sterling, but you use English coins. You know, so you're talking about a royal mint in Scotland a military. If Scotland got independence, do they think the UK is just going to go, okay, there's the line, you keep all them troops and Trident submarines and all the weapons, and we'll keep ours on this? No, you're going to withdraw it all.
The silly part of it was that, I mean, I'm for the nuclear deterrent. I know some people don't want it. I'm all for it. Okay, even though it's 30 miles from me, I'm all for it. One of the arguments was that if we vote, it should be an SNP debate, but anyway, bollocks that. One of the arguments was that if Scottish independence becomes a thing, the nuclear deterrent will be moved to Portsmouth, and in some way that'll make you safe. Right? I'm sorry. Bubble bursting time, reality check. If you've got 5,000 nuclear missiles and you believe that it's okay, honest, the kill port's shut down, we don't store or repair any weapons there anymore, and Fasline's defunct, so please don't bomb us, right? That's not going to happen. You're still getting hit, okay? I'm sorry, but you are.
On a sign holding it up, please. No bombs here.
Again, it boils down to common sense.
Yeah.
The whole common sense thing again. In an ideal world, we wouldn't have nuclear weapons because you wouldn't need the bloody things.
Yeah, well, yeah, utopian society one day, maybe. Let's rattle through a couple more of these comments. Telder Boy said, I vote Brian and Mike, the coalition of prepper government. Everyone would have their own bunker. Everyone would have the rights to their own land. We'd probably have to out a few billion people to have enough land to do that, but we'll sort something out. We'll have an IQ test. If you fall below a certain par, you're shipped off.
Yeah, I'm a goner then, mate. I'm off.
I keep out of politics, but prep and think ahead as best as possible. Elusive, I would argue that politics is a prep. It's the reason I'm covering it on this channel. It affects us all, whether we like it or not, unfortunately. And you can say, oh, they're all the same. It makes no difference. But, that's the attitude that will keep it the way it always will be. Rift Security, Odin promised to get rid of the Frost Giants. I don't see any Frost Giants. Vote for Odin. There you go. There's a man that keeps his promises. So which constituency Odin is running in, but, let us know. It's not a wasted vote, says Luth. Mohammed says, if Brian and Mike are on the ballot, I'd happily for you. There we go. We could run next election.
How much apply for help is that people would actually vote for us?
Yeah, this is how desperate they are.
That's bad.
Yeah, there you go. Brooke says I'm voting for Scottish Prepper 73 to get the same mic as Mike. Love Fireside chat, but Scottish people come with subtitles. He's got a better mic, but then it didn't work.
It's sitting down there. I've still plugged the bloody thing in. I'll apologise when I get animated or excited. I forget to speak slower for the audience that we've got, which is across the UK. So I apologise.
Angela Connor says, evening all. Sorry, just got up after having a migraine. I'm voting Labour only because we cannot have another 5 years of Tories. See, this is exactly what I said. This is why we are going to end up with a two-party system for the rest of our lives, because people think, oh, everything else is a wasted vote. I guarantee you, Angela, if you vote Lib Dems, Green Party, if you vote whoever you think is the best policies for you, your family, your loved ones, it'll make a difference to them. But the Tories aren't in. They're gone, I'm afraid. And as an ex-card carrying Conservative paying member, I'm okay with that. Mr. Atterblue says reform will give us back our flags. Nobody's took our flags. I've got the American flag and the UK flag up there. I've even got a Sunderland flag digged away. So it's just
I don't have any flags, I've got to be honest.
Political correct mad people that decide to attach stigmas to things that don't have them. Still some stop having your own conversation, guys. Elusive Dartmoor says a lot of Labour signs in Devon. There's a lot of Labour signs everywhere. I think they put them on people's houses when they're not looking. But it was interesting, actually. I've not had anyone campaign at my door this year.
I have.
But I live in a not great area now. Now, before, I lived in a more affluent area, right? And they all came. Now, what was interesting was Green Party member came. There was 2 of them. Lib Dem Party came. I think there was 3 people. Conservative guy came. 1 guy on his own. Labour turned up with 12 people on my drive.
Same.
What's that all about? Vote via bullying? I really didn't like that. Do you know, I literally, they knocked on the door. I looked through the window and they just posted something. So I just looked at the window and went.
I answered it because they came to our door, I think it was last Saturday, and it was again mob handed. I actually thought it was the Jehovah Witnesses were knocking everybody's doors. I was expecting the watchtower to come through the door. But that aside, and they can come to the door if they want as well. Anyway, so the guy knocks on the door and he can ask how you're going to vote. I'm not 100% sure yet, mate. I'm undecided. Oh, that's good. Do you think you could ever vote? You think you could ever vote Labour? I don't know. Why should I? Well, you know, is it? You don't want any more votes, any more Conservative governments, do you? So, well, what are you going to do that's any different then? Well, you know, it's very hard to make decisions and promises when we don't know how much money's left. All right. But ironically, mate, your party the last time left a note saying we've spent all the money. And he laughed and he said, yeah, but that was just a bit of humour. So I'm not laughing. And I don't think that's very funny. I says, if you think it's funny to say we've spent everybody's money, I said, let's be honest, you guys don't have any money. It's my money and every other taxpayer's money. You're spending our money. If you think it's funny to laugh and joke about it, I ain't laughing. And again, I says, look, you've got your 5 minutes. You persuade me why I should vote Labour. Well, you know, and he didn't even answer.
Yeah. That annoys me with all parties. I'm not going to pick on Labour. I'm not going to pick on an individual party, but with all parties, if they spent more time telling you what they can do and how they can do it, and less slagging off the other, the voting this tomorrow is based on, oh, you don't want a Labour government, or oh, you don't want another Tory government. There is nothing there on offer from the two main parties, as far as I'm concerned. If you think I've always wanted to vote Green, but I don't want to waste my vote, go and vote Green tomorrow. Yeah, we don't just need someone like Reform to get big. We need all the small parties to get more support, so the people in these two major parties actually have to think about shit.
Remember when
I try not to rant.
No, you're good. I wasn't having a pop at Labour per se. It was just they're the only ones that bothered to knock on the door. But do you ever mind years ago when Nick Clegg got the Lib Dems in a coalition government with the Tories?
Yeah.
Well, when he was on Question Time, I listened to the guy and he came across as honest, with some integrity and everything else. And then when it became time to form a coalition government, he basically sold his soul. All the shit that he'd been on Question Time saying, I believe in this and we're a party for that, to get his feet under the door for power, all that crap went out the window. And I was genuinely disappointed that had happened, because the guy, I got taken in by him. I thought, you know, this might be somebody different.
Do you know why? Basic annual salary of a member of parliament is £91,346. The basic. Not including expenses, not including anything like that. So any of these people that say, I'm in touch with people, I go out to the shop and buy milk, I never grew up with Sky TV, my dad's a toolmaker, whatever phrase they're coming up with next, my dad is a toolmaker. That's the funny thing. That's why he's a Labour voter. Whatever they're coming up with next, they're out of touch because they get paid a ridiculous amount of money. The most honest people are the candidates before they get into Parliament, because they are working people like me and you. They might get in there and get that big money and then find out they can use their expense account for Lamborghinis and everything and change. But at this stage, and
duck points.
Yeah,
you've got to click the 2 duck points.
Mohammed Al Mustafa says, Mike forgot to mention Matt Hancock getting caught lip sync to his secretary during COVID. Oh, yes, yeah. But he's forgiven for his sterling performance on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, right? That was him, wasn't it?
That was him. He was another smarmy get-go.
I kind of like when these politicians go on shows like that, because you do, whether they try to put a facade on or not, you do end up seeing a human side to them, which is very interesting.
Adversity brings out the real person 9 times out of 10.
Telder Boy says, garage all the way, straightforward guy who exactly says on the tin, Farage, I meant. You got some laughs with that one, so there we go. Starmer and Sunak are two cheeks of the same backside. Yes, but the question is, who's the arsehole? Who's the arsehole in the middle? Angela Connis says part of the problem is that those in power only look to the next election, but not past that. It was Maggie Thatcher that reduced preparedness and reduced our emergency stocks. Yeah, that Maggie Thatcher could be a very tentative subject because she did some real good, in my opinion. She did some real bad, in my opinion. But isn't that every prime minister? Right? I mean, what I liked about Maggie was, like Farage, she said what she meant and she stuck to what she said. But this is, you cannot vote based on, this is going back to the my dad voted for. The party Margaret Thatcher represented doesn't exist anymore. The party Tony Blair represented, and we're not going back that far, doesn't exist anymore. Whether they've got the same name and the same colour or not, they are different parties. Look at the policies, look at the people, look at what they have done and are doing with themselves and in their past, and it should be obvious to a lot of people. Elusive Dartmore, I just don't trust any of them. I believe they have answers. So just be elusive. Look at that. He's plugging himself. Just be elusive and do what I got to do. Love it.
And he has got a point to an extent that he doesn't believe them. And that's a sad state of affairs that if you spoke to most people in the chat, I don't think it would be an uncommon opinion that a lot of them don't trust politicians anymore. And the two parties that are in the two horse race that we find ourselves in at the moment, okay, I fundamentally agree with you. What are you going to do about it then? But I'm not disagreeing. I'm on board with it. So you've got to vote, do something with it. If you don't trust either of them, take a punt, right?
Yeah.
Try something different, because if you know you're going to get stuck with one of these share of shit anyway, if that's what you think of them, or if what anybody thinks of them, if you don't like what they're selling, right, try a different snake oil for a change.
Yeah, you're not going to win. This is not a bookies. You're not betting the favourite just because it's the lesser of two evils. If your party that you pick, be it the monster raving loony party, whatever it is, if they get one seat in Parliament, next time it might be 2, then it might be 4, then it might be 8, so on and so forth. The only way we can get out of this 2-horse race, as it were, is for people to vote with their head and heart and not just think, I don't want them, so I better vote for them.
And consider this. Say you vote for Lib Dems or Farage or SNP, right? Or any of the other smaller parties. If that's what you believe is the best option, then you should do that. But it's not a wasted vote, because if they get enough seats, that gives them leverage, right? If Labour gets in and they've got 300 seats, but say Reform gets 50, that's 50 votes they might need to get an act passed or whatever. They will have leverage, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. So if you get 50 elected officials for the party you want, or 20 or 30, at some point they're going to have to do some horse trading to get them to vote on an issue the way they want. So they'll have leverage. So you're voting for a lever. You might not get your party in, but you'll certainly have influence. And you want influence. If that's who you believe you should have, then vote for them.
Yeah, give them a voice. That's the thing. Giving them a voice. I can set up UK Urban Prepper political party, and without a seat, I have no voice. So if you believed in my party and you voted and just got me one seat out of the hundreds on offer, there's a voice in there that represents you. I'm not running, by the way. Don't go and look for me on a ballot. You're not going to find it. I considered it, but then I thought, no, they do a deep dive into your history, and nobody wants to do that. I'd have to do a lot of expunging of previous social media posts to run for politics. The Prepper Party, says Johnny Evans, but we're a fringe group, apparently, Johnny. So, you know, don't waste your vote. Go and vote for the lesser of two evils. Clearly, that's the best option. JD said, I've had both parties campaign and slammed the door on both. But JD's a friend of the channel. She's a moderator, so don't annoy her. And she's been a guest on Prepper Podcasts. But let's look at her wording there. I've had both parties campaign at my door. That is the mentality of the country. We have two parties. That's the problem. Funny you should mention signs, usually full of SNP here. All I've seen is a single Labour one. That's a big change. I've not seen as many. I don't know if it's because it's a snap election and, you know, they couldn't get the printers in time, but I've not seen many signs up, you know.
I think
I might have strategically positioned a leaflet in my window so you can see it from outside. But
I think it's been one corruption scandal too many for Jimmy Cranky, to be fair. She's embraced van life and it's not done her any good for the party. So she's... Oh, stop. I'm not going to go there.
Jimmy Cranky. I love it. This election is the best chance we've had in decades to force proportional representation, as after the election, the debate will go there. So vote for an alternative to the main two. That is my point exactly, Johnny. That is my point exactly. Regardless of who I'm voting for, who Brian's voting for, we are not here to sway you. You know, the yellow is always the color. I'm not like some Mad Lib Dem supporter and it's subliminal messaging. That's just the brand of Prepper Fireside. But yeah, voting for them is the only way things are going to start to change. Bum chats. Hi guys. A little look towards our friends in the US determined to get World War III going. Now Biden is basically finished. Does big Mike Obama and his BBC bust down the back door and go into the White House now? He lost me halfway through that.
For words. I've got to be honest, I don't actually understand most of that. I don't mean that to be flippant or insulting. I don't.
JD's American. She's an expat living in the UK. Can you translate, JD, please?
I'll pick up on parts of it if it makes any sense. I don't think the US is determined to get World War III going because it's bad for business, right? I think they're supporting, to an extent, Ukraine to try and keep Russia on the back foot. And we've already talked about this in previous casts, but it's in nobody's interest to die, right? They're quite happy to fight a proxy war, but nobody ultimately wants to press the big red button. I fundamentally believe that. Nobody wants World War III. They're quite happy to have a proxy war, like we've had in Vietnam and North Korea and South Korea. We've had proxy wars all over the world for decades. But nobody wants to die, including me. I don't believe they do want World War III.
Interesting, yeah.
But I'm lost on the rest of
it. Excuse me. Lady J, how I did that leaflet rip behind my door, but it was just the postie, not my local nationalist activist. I was so disappointed it wasn't them. I wonder where Lady J's from. Wasn't he them? It wasn't I. Mohammed Al Mustafa, you need a shorter name. I'm Mohammed. You're going to get Mohammed because I can't constantly read long names. I pelted an egg on Jack Straw when he came to my door. This was after the war in Iraq when they came for votes. Nice.
That's no joking matter.
Excellent.
That was the last straw.
JD, it's not half as bad here as in my homeland. There you go. Speaking of that one, could we see any backlash after this election? Because whether we like it or not, there's right-wing supporters and there's extreme left-wing supporters of each party. So now they've got an excuse with postal votes disappearing Do you think there's going to be backlash after this?
Only postal vote, you'll only get backlash with that if there's enough to prove a scandal, and it would need to be tens of thousands, mate. There would need to be tens of thousands lost or whatever. So with the Trump thing and Biden, when Trump alleged electoral fraud, it was on a massive scale, the allegations across lots of states. At the moment, it seems to be thousands rather than tens of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think so. But there'll always be the pond and the ripple effect. Anything that affects the US will always come over here because we're so closely linked and militarily, monetary, and even ideology to an extent. Because most of America came from here at some point, and we've maintained this special relationship, whatever that means.
Yeah,
There'll be a ripple effect.
Yeah. Mohammed's explaining his egg to tell the boy. He said, since the Iraq war, I've never voted Labour. Honestly, I was fuming when I found out we were going to war in Iraq. I don't think not everyone shared your opinion at first, Mohammed, but I reckon they would now, especially considering we went there for WMDs that didn't exist. And it was clear. I mean, a party, if you're voting for a party because of their historical reputation, they lied to us and they blatantly got caught in this lie. And it's just, oh, it's fine. Carry on, move on, next one.
Newsflash, they all lie. They're all lying to you.
Yeah, but there's a lie and then there's a war.
I found it ironic that the West alleged that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did, because they gave him them. The Americans and the British supplied him with chemical weapons because when the Shah fell in Iran, they wanted Iran to get a spanking. So they encouraged Saddam to attack and then gave him weapons when it wasn't working out. They only got involved when he took Kuwait and it was involving money and oil.
Yeah, it's always money. That's what we were saying. That's what it boils down to at the end of the day. It all boils down to money. They've all been awash in Russian money for years in London, Grad. Here we go. This is where we're getting the conspiracy ones on. Vote Chin Hat Prepper Party, Yakargu Rung. I want that printed on a t-shirt. More importantly, just vote. Too many people don't bother.
Yes.
Yeah, well, like I say, we had 31% said they're not going to vote in the poll that we did. Johnny Evans says, even without a seat, you can influence things. Look at Farage. He forced Brexit and had no sitting MPs. Is there something that wields power? The fact that even these mainstream pollsters that we looked at before believe the predicted vote share is going to be first Labour, second Reform, third Conservative, regardless of seats.
I don't think it will go to that swing. I don't think Reform will be that close. I would like to think, see up until the recent Channel 4 thing, and when he mentioned that he wasn't going to back Ukraine, Farage was on the ascension. I mean, Reform was really going great guns. The powers that be shit the bed and started poking holes. Mm-hmm. And he's flatlined now. He's largely flatlined. I think if certain things hadn't happened, if he hadn't scored an own goal with the Ukraine thing, whether people agree with it or not, I think it's cost them. And these Channel 4 documentary, the
one with the one with the hired actor.
That's the one. And the two MPs that have went back to the Conservative parties allegedly, these are all things that have hurt him. But I would suggest that if he wasn't doing well in the first place, none of that would have happened. So I think he's got a lot of people nervous.
Yeah, the whole system's corrupt. Where's Ofcom? As soon as these allegations of them being actors and stuff like that. Where's the governing body to investigate this stuff? It's ridiculous. It just shows if you get popularity and look to destabilize the norm, then you've got a massive. You've not just got the budget. If you look at the budgets as well, Reform's the most shared social media across all platforms, and their budget is like 2% of what Labour's spent.
I mean, I think a lot of people are getting hung up on the fact that there's a impression that Reform is full of racists, bigots, homophobes, and all the rest of it. Is it? Possibly. I genuinely don't know. I would suggest that there'll be black sheep in every closet, in every party. There'll be people whose opinions and actions do their party no credit. What would make Reform any different? Do they think that's not happened in Labour and Conservative?
Yeah.
Love them, because we see scandals every other day. It's just that they're not being used to whack them down at the moment.
The guy that was running in Clacton for Labour has got racist posts on his Twitter. It's just not flagged because it's not the stereotypical way around racism is. But you know what I mean? It's just.
I find it ironic, Mike.
They're all corrupt. Vote Mike.
I find it ironic that the only real common ground Labour and the Conservatives have found in the last 2 weeks is to put the boot into the smaller parties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is it, and this is the horrible thing. And then they're both playing that against each other, you know, because they're saying if you vote for a smaller party, you're going to put them in power. If you vote for a smaller party, you're going to put the other one in power. It's just they're just playing that constant. They're giving you that fear. They don't want. Both them parties are in cahoots, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe not verbally, but they know that they're the two. And if that norm's broken, which it could be, listen, if Labour win by a landslide, which is what it looks like, according to all the polls, if they win by a landslide, as much as it is, the predicted seats, according to this poll I've got in front of me from electoralcalculus.co.uk, the next biggest party with seats will be Lib Dems. They'll have more seats than Conservative. So we could have already broke the norm anyway, but nobody should have that much power. 450 predicted seats. Nobody should have that much power. It's just they will keep it because they'll just like enact martial law 5 years down the line. Sorry, JD said, I think it depends where in the country you are. If there's more than two parties, there's Lib Dem, Tory and Labour. Tory and Labour in my area, no Prepper Party, unfortunately. Yeah, that's the case, JD, in most places. And when it comes to electing your local councillor down the road, the affluent area I used to live in, it's been Lib Dem for the last umpteen years, right? Ridiculous, the local candidate. When it comes to general elections, it all switches because they all think it's a wasted vote. It's weird. It's really strange how it works. Mohammed says, I've had Labour, the Cons, Craig Murray from the Workers' Party, the independent candidate come over, only slammed the door in two of them. Ooh, but he's not going to say which two. I'm guessing it's the main two that were just there to flag off the others.
I would answer that to an extent. I understand his sentiment, slamming the doors on them.
Mm-hmm.
If they come back next time, talk to them.
Yeah.
Why? I'll give you 5 minutes of my time. Go for it. You tell me. So if it's the Conservatives, okay. See if it's a couple of terms in, and from what I see, you've fucked up, right? Tell me how it's going to be any different. Convince me. I'll give you your shot. Same with Labour. And if they're stuttering their way through 5 minutes and can't convince you, you've only lost 5 minutes. Then slam the door in their face. But at least get some answers out of them.
Yeah, most of them won't have answers, unfortunately. They'll just have what they've heard and the rumours. I do that with everyone. I'm a nightmare. I really am. Because obviously you get religious groups knocking on your door as well. My ex used to hate me because I'd invite them in and make them a brew, then argue with them. I'm not religious in any way. I fully respect anyone that is. I kind of envy people that are because I'd love to think there's something afterwards. But I'm not religious. I'm scientific. So I would invite them in and have a full-on discussion because they were trying to convince me one thing and I'd try and get the evidence. So I do it with everyone.
What you might want to try next time, Mike, is a random thing for them. Keep a bottle of Johnson's baby oil next to the front door, and when they open the door, pass it to them and say, "Hold this. Come on into the basement." Right? See if they'll follow you, and then.
What's that cavalry sword you've got?
Put the lotion in the basket, or you're getting the hose again.
I can translate if it helps, says Mrs. Bumchat. I'm Mrs. Bumchats. Says Brooke. Oh, Bumchats is your mister then, is it, Brooke?
I'm genuinely trying to speak slower. I'm so sorry.
I don't know if she means translating the Americans because what they were saying about the US election. I was trying to scroll up and see it. Yeah, Bumchats is the one that put on the one where we lost track halfway through reading it about World War III. So she said she was going to translate for him. Biden could be caught snorting Bam Bam off a dead hooker's backside, and I'd still vote for him over the alternative. And you know what? He'd probably get more votes if he did do that because it would look like he had a bit of life about him. My problem is not with Biden, JD. I'm going to put this out there now. I don't get a vote in America yet till I get my citizenship and bugger off. But my problem's not with Biden and not with the party he represents. It's his physical ability to perform his duties. I mean, there is no one. My partner works in the care industry. She wouldn't have him in her care home because he needs specialist attention. And his family that are encouraging him to stay in the race are disgraceful because he doesn't need to be there. He really doesn't. He should retire with dignity. I have the utmost respect for him. And the party should put up another candidate. That's I don't know what's going on. JD mentioned postal votes disappearing. We did mention that at the start. It's ridiculous. It'll be interesting to see if anything comes from an investigation. If it's certain votes that disappeared. Did you see the postie that wrote racist on the reform leaflets as he was posting them through?
How come he's got a job then?
He shouldn't have any more, hopefully. I'm safe. I don't think my postie can write. Well, look what's happened to Italy, right wing, and was it France? It was France, yes.
Okay.
But that's the problem, right? If you don't vote for that third party now, be it Lib Dems, be it Reform, be it Plaid Cymru, be it Green Party, whatever you want, as long as it's not the main two, if you don't put that vote in now, the nation will get to a point where it's sick. And an extreme right party or an extreme left party will come in and that's what will happen, what's happening in France. It's going to be very interesting watching France over the next few months. Mohammed said, I've had a certain Labour members ask my family members for their postal votes. I'm sure that's illegal.
What?
Is that illegal? To ask them to vote?
It's not illegal to ask you to vote in a certain way because it's still ultimately your choice to do it.
Yeah.
But if he's asking them for the cards and they fill it in, that's not kosher.
I hope not. Get it reported. There we go. Oh, here we go. We got translation from Bumchats. Big Mike equals Michael Obama. Does he, she, them? We are not that politically correct on this channel. Does he, she, them, it, penguin toaster try to get into the White House via the back door? Now Biden has now been exposed as a criminal via Ukrainian energy deals, and he's got dementia. Well, this is why, that's what they're thinking. They're thinking he has to carry on the race because if he wins, he's going to step down not long after, right? VP is going to take over. It's an interesting tactic, but I just feel sorry for the guy. I really do. I genuinely feel sorry for the guy. Need to go, guys. Great people in the chat. Speak to you all soon. Stay safe. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you for the support. Tell has been here from pretty much day dot when I had like 10 subscribers. Johnny Evans said, I have no idea what you just said. Yeah, go for it. I've took too long, apparently. Johnny Evans said, yes, you can force things through the fear of
That's
losing
not a
power.
phrase you've heard much, mate.
Faraz is a master of instilling fear into the establishment. Let's not take it that low. Come on. Farage is a master of instilling fear into the establishment. Interesting. He has, though, hasn't he? The fear he's instilled into the establishment has caused them to get the backs up to the point non-biased TV channels, and I'm not just talking about the British propaganda broadcast company who charge you for your TV license even if you've not got a TV aerial. I'm not just talking about them, it's all the channels. Channel 4 usually support the outsider or do quite an independent documentary. It kind of shocked me, and it makes me wonder who's getting a bung to do these things. JD, just realized I have custom emojis. I've got more to install, JD. I've just not got around to it. Mike, do you think the Muslim vote has an impact and could swing the tide of who wins? I think all votes could swing the tide of who wins. Now, I don't differentiate the Muslim vote, because if you're British and you're a citizen, you've got to vote. That's it. End of story.
Yeah.
The politics and religion, in my opinion, whether you're religious or not, should never cross paths. We are a free country. You're free to worship any religion, do anything you can claim. I mean, I think the last census, half the nation said they were a Jedi, right? It almost became a recognized religion. But that's the beauty of living in a free, and I'll use that free because we're all preppers and we know we're not free. But that's the joys of living in a free country. But so I don't think the religion should impact the swing. Do I think the parties use it? Yes, I absolutely do. Certain parties will latch on to things like that and use it to their advantage. Whether it's to throw shit on one party, to put it no politely, or whether it's to get more votes because of a certain sector. That's the thing. Because obviously, we've got a massive Jewish community in the UK as well. So that's why most parties have avoided talking about the Gaza conflict. There's only independents that have stood up and been completely for this side or completely for this side because they haven't got as much to lose as the big parties. But yeah, it should be separated completely, in my opinion, Mohammed. Lee Prophet, where's the police? Racist comment on TV and yet no action. Which comment? Yeah, I'm not sure what this is. Maybe I missed something, but yeah. Where's the police on its own, Lee, is a good question. That's a good question right there on its own. Where's the police? I'll tell you where they are. If you offered me the salary they're offering police, you're not tempting me away from my job. Not because it's a bad salary, and it's quite good pay to a lot of people, but the risk involved, it's not worth it for me. And it's not worth it for them. And it's why police are leaving and retiring early in droves, because they can see where it's dangerous to be a police officer because your hands are tied. Yeah. If you could defend yourself and enforce the law to the full extent of the law, it'd be a great job. But if you say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, touch the wrong person on the frigging shoulder, you're in court, you're suspended, blah, blah, blah.
And everybody's got a camera on their hand now.
Yeah, you're filming me so I can film you. Yeah, we all seen it, the audit things and stuff like that. And
Can't stand those guys.
I get what they're saying, because there is police that abuse the power. There is bailiffs that abuse power. So I do like some of the stuff that they do for calling out people like that, because bailiffs will abuse power against vulnerable people who need to be protected. The problem is these people go and read a single case law, one case where the law went in such a favor, and they will quote it to death to a policeman. And like, you should know the law. the police are not going to sit there and study the entire British law, yeah, it's legal to like shoot a Welshman on a certain day with a longbow from a certain distance in frigging Cheshire, right? The laws in this country are ridiculously long. No police officer is going to know it, so stop jumping on the back and let them do the freaking job. Johnny, more rants. Johnny Evans, 16 to 17-year-olds are all turning to reform all over TikTok. They are masters of social media. Starmer will drop promise and give them the vote. It's a good tactic by Reform, because even these people that they're influencing now in such a massive way, if they're true to what they're saying, that's their ambition is not to get in power, because obviously it was ridiculously close to election time, but to have a presence and be ready for next election. That's the voting age, and they're going to be all voting age. You know, everyone they're influencing now, even the 14, 15-year-olds, are going to be voting age by the time it comes around. What do you think of the social media side of things? Because Reform haven't put the money into that. That's natural growth and natural interest that has done that, despite powers trying to stop it. Does that not say that all these polls could be wrong?
I would be very surprised if up until 2 weeks ago, I would have said there was a real chance that Reform would have overtaken the Conservatives in terms of number of seats that they could have won. Genuinely believe that was a realistic possibility.
I think it still is, personally, but go on.
I don't know. I think they've had a kicking in the press. Some was warranted, maybe. A lot it wasn't. I don't think it's a level playing field. But then again, it's politics. It's never a level playing field.
The problem is, right, so if you've got a reputation in business, in anything, it takes you a long time to build up a good reputation. Example, Channel 4, BBC, ITV. Right? It takes you a long time to build up a reputation. And lots of people sit on their couch and still trust mainstream media wholeheartedly. And they say jump, they say how high. Now, if they saw the stuff like on Reform and things like that on the media and then turned the TV off and never touched social media again, you might be right. But it's all being picked to pieces. And as soon as I found out Channel 4, that was an actor. And it's not just a case of, oh, well, that's his job, but he's still no. He was using his actor's voice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a flat out an act to make that program get ratings. They've lost all credibility to me. And now if they tell me Nigel Farage just, set fire to an orphanage, I'm probably not going to believe them, even if he did do it, because they've lost all credibility.
I think yourself and a lot of the people on here are unique in a lot of ways. One, that they'll question things and prepare for eventualities, but more so they act with a bit of due diligence, and they'll look and canvass lots of different things to try and get an informed opinion of how things work. But the sheeple that are out there that we genuinely try on a day-to-day basis to say, look, going to please stock up on a few extra tins of beans for the love of God, because something's coming down the track, right? The sheeple generally don't want to do that. They want to be spoon-fed, and they'll accept a lot of things at face value. I hope the TikTok thing bears fruit. And I genuinely did believe that he had mileage and traction and overtake the Conservatives. And you might be right. I hope you are right that he gets a fair crack at the whip. I just think that there's been a lot of damage done to nobble him. This horse has been nobbled.
Yeah.
Personally,
I think whoever gets in is not going to serve a full term either way. And I don't mean the party. I mean whether it's Sunak or Starmer or anyone, they're not going to get a full term because there's too much crap that they're going to take on their shoulders. Mohammed, you up?
Sunak's never getting in. The Tories are gone.
No, he lied about having Sky. He's out. Can I stick up for Sunak here? It's a rare moment, but I'm going to stick up for Sunak there. He said he didn't have Sky TV as a kid. Someone found a picture of the Sunak pharmacy with the Sky dish on. Tell me you've never moved into a house and it's got 3 frigging dishes attached to the side from the previous tenant. They don't take them down. It's not proof. There you go. Fake news. Me personally, I think voting is rigged, says Mohammed. The media have already been painting Kid Starver. Kid Starver. As I said, ever since Corbyn left the party. In my personal opinion, you will get my personal opinion on this one. Corbyn was a joke. So whoever came in next was going to be a saint. But that's my personal opinion. It's not the opinion of the channel. Please stay subscribed and like my content. JD, you're nice. I say I worship Satan. Would they care to sacrifice a goat? That's interesting. That's why we have a VP. Not gonna. Biden looks like he's gonna drop dead any second. He looks older than Tutankhamun. If you believe some of the conspiracy theories, he is already dead, and it's a different mask that the guy's wearing every time. Whoever's standing in from him. Johnny Evans. Yes, it is illegal to ask for postal vote to be given to them. Contact the Electoral Commission and report them. There you go. Please do so. I agree with you, Mike. That's how the Austrian painter came to.
Oh, for fuck's sake. And that's how the channel got shut down, folks.
Fucking Austrian artists always get a bad rap. I was talking about Labour members asking for actual postal votes for the cards. I'm sure.
No, they can't do that.
They definitely can't do that. Please do say something to somebody about that. On the Channel 4 thing, calling this is exactly. So that Channel 4 thing where apparently he said this thing, you can get arrested for, saying somebody is a guy, because you can see his beard and penis, but he identifies as a woman. All right. So you've said the wrong thing. You can get arrested for TikTok posts these days. So why isn't he arrested if he was a legit thing? Because actors can't be arrested for playing a role. Otherwise, there'd be a lot of Austrian painter actors in prison.
Safe, Angela.
Good night. Migraine coming back. Stay safe. That's your conscience coming back saying don't vote Labour, Angela. Right. Everyone's saying good night. I'm clicking on random things now. Phone's about to die. Night, everyone. I love Australian artists. I still listen to the band's Men at Work. He come from a land down under. On that note, we have got to the end of the comments. You're all absolute insane. Please go out and vote tomorrow. Please join me for my ridiculously long live tomorrow night for however little time you can. I believe Brian will be coming on for a short period during it to rant about all the SNP people he saw on that day. And don't forget to vote. And don't forget to check out Brian's channel, Scottish Prepper 73, and with the power of media. There we go. Check that out. He will be doing new review videos. Your next video?
EcoFlow Delta 2s. There's a couple of them sitting in boxes over there. So I'll probably do that Friday or Saturday.
Excellent. Yeah. Vote for who, says Elaine. If it's already rigged, why bother? Bother because it's the only way we'll get any sort of change. I don't care if you vote for Monster Raving Looney Party. Go and vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Look for vote for policies. Do your research tonight, tomorrow morning. You've got till before 10 o'clock to get your vote in anyway. Do your own research. See what benefits you. See what's going to make your life easier. See what's going to make the country a slightly better place and vote for that. All right. Other than that, would you like to say goodbye, Brian?
Goodbye, Brian.
I don't know why I say it. I ask for it all the time. And from me, thank you guys for watching. You guys in the chat have been awesome, and we will see you all tomorrow night for live votings where we see how this all pans out. Bye.
Yeah.
Water stored in jugs and tins, bunkered down through thick and thin. Maps and routes all drawn and laid, preppers live unafraid. At the preppers' fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night. In the glow of embers dance, we've prepared for every chance. Living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue.